So I finally landed on an Apple Watch after testing out the Series 3, 5, SE, 6 over the past 2 weeks after abandoning my home at Fitbit. It's been an enjoyable experience and honestly, I couldn't be happier. So let's run through on how I ended up with the Series 5 instead of the others. This is the Fitbit Versa 2. I've already talked about why I'm leaving Fitbit. I still think this is one of the best Fitbits Fitbit has ever made. Oh my goodness. As well as the Blaze, but go check that video out if you want to see more information on that. This is the Apple Watch Series 3. Now this is a great watch, but in terms of a tech enthusiast, I think it's just a little bit too dated for me. And even with the software updates that it gets, it doesn't get all the cool watch faces. And it just seems like this one is kind of on its last leg. But if you are trying to get into the Apple ecosystem for Fitness Plus, I would say I recommend the Apple Watch Series 3. But if you can save like $80 more, I would say that the SE is undoubtedly a better choice. Sorry. This watch in terms of value is incredible. Now this is the 44 millimeter. This one starts at $309. I love this watch, but 44 millimeters is just too big for me. I know it's very small, but in person, it just looks too big on my wrist and I prefer 40. I think this is the watch that most people are going to go for, like I said in my buyer's guide. But for me personally, I think I can squeeze out just a little bit more value and just get a little bit something nicer. So this is the Apple Watch Series 6. Can I go to the watch face, please? And this is a really nice watch, but it's not that different compared to the Series 5 and the SE. It does have a better processor, U1 chip, louder speakers, fast charging, blood oxygen detection, as well as ECG. All right, so finally we get to talk about the Apple Watch on my wrist, and I took my own advice from my buyer's guide and bought the Apple Watch Series 5 used. For stainless steel purposes, I wanted something that would be a little bit more classy and also be used for professional wear as well. I also do have stainless steel versions of iPhones like the iPhone 10, and I just wanted something that would match that. I know there's the Apple Watch Series 6. They redid the colors for gold, but that gold just looks a little bit too yellow for me. This one's more subtle and reserved. I like the finish on this one. It's a little bit more like a copper tone to it. I would say, please, 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 if you're buying used an Apple product, to have the person sign out of their Apple ID, because the guy did try to sell me this with his wife's Apple ID still tied to it. It was a very awkward conversation that we had to have. Also, if you are a previous Apple Watch owner watching this, I might talk about features that you've already experienced with an Apple Watch, but this is just my first experience transitioning over from Fitbit to the Apple Watch. Now, let's get into what people don't buy the Apple Watch for, which is fitness. So there's actually not much detail in your exercises, at least in a runner's perspective. It's pretty much just your heart rate, the basics of your distance, time, and calories burnt. The watch seems to be really heavily focused on completing your rings. And rings are basically just how much you burn by moving, how long you exercise, and standing throughout the day. Complete the rings and you'll have a sense of like an accomplishment, except if you work out a lot, completing those rings aren't that hard to do, that I discovered. Also, there's detection for when you're working out, except when I'm walking around the grocery store, sometimes it thinks I'm walking outdoors, but it's like I get distracted sometimes when I'm trying to buy salad and then I'm in the organic aisle and then I suddenly discover, are people actually paying $10 for spaghetti sauce? I saw some people take it off the shelf, but besides the point, there's tons of workouts, and I mean, there's a lot of workouts inside the WatchOS app. Not WatchOS app, but WatchOS in general. Also, it seems like Apple is increasing workouts with every major software update, so that's nice to see. Although there are some workouts that I don't really understand what they are. Like for one, there's one that's fitness gaming. I don't know what that is, but there's also another one that's, I think, play. And it's like, do you mean playtime for your kids? So I suggest third-party apps for more details on your exercise, but I would really love if Apple implemented their own first-party, I guess, just a little bit more detailed with inside the fitness app itself. So going back to completing the rings, there are medals that you can achieve, and whenever you complete a ring, there's this nice animation that happens, and It's basically just saying that you did a good job. I still get reminders throughout the day to stand up, but I found that the breathing reminders are a little bit too excessive. The UI is a bit of a learning curve, but after about 2 to 3 days, your brain pretty much knows how to navigate through the watch. And overall, I will say the animations on watchOS is a big step up from, I think it's Fitbit OS. Anyway, another huge benefit I found with my Apple Watch that I originally thought I would hate is how I'm somehow more productive and more active. Usually when I get emails on my phone, I clear them, but when I get the notification on my watch, I notice that I delete the useless emails so I don't have a crazy inbox of like 20,000 emails. Also, even responding to text with like dictation and answering phone calls, seeing my notifications on my watch, I find that I pick up my phone less often, which in return gives me more battery life on my phone, but less battery life on my watch, but I'm happy with that trade-off. So the biggest change I had to get over was charging, because I always had the display on, always on display off, but I enjoy my battery life than looking at my watch all the time. With my Fitbit, I had about 4 to 5 days with sleeping before I had to charge it, and this was pretty much every day switching over to the Apple Watch to charge it, and it's not as bad as I thought. So when sleep tracking was introduced on Fitbit, I wore my watch all the time. And a suggestion in the comment was, while you're in the shower or you're cooking breakfast or doing like your morning routine, charge your watch. And by the time I'm done with my morning routine and I'm ready to go grab my watch, it's always sitting at about 90 to 100%, and it gets me throughout the day comfortably. Also, it's not that healthy to wear your watch all the time either, so I've kind of gotten off the sleep tracking train for a bit. But another nice feature is if there isn't enough juice or battery inside your watch for sleep tracking, it will remind you to charge it, and in about 5 to 10 minutes, your watch will be good to be used throughout the night. I got about not 3.5, that's insane. I got about a day and a half with 3 exercises and no sleep tracking. So speaking more on sleep tracking, it officially arrived on watchOS 7, which is a bit overdue and a bit underwhelming as well, but it's there nonetheless. Once again, like the exercises, I suggest downloading third-party apps like Pillow, because once again, Apple just pretty much gives you the necessities, like what your heart rate was when you were asleep, the amount of time it thinks you were asleep and awake. So third-party apps are the way to go if you want to focus on sleep tracking for this device. What's next? Customer support. So customer support has been amazing. Apple has adapted pretty well and seems to have already taken measures in place for the pandemic right now. I wanted to verify that everything was good with my watch that I bought used, and there's a diagnostic setting with inside the setting options. So once you connect with an Apple representative, it'll do a software inspection and it will automatically get sent to, I think, like through your Apple ID, through the call that you're doing. And the guy told me that I passed all the internal checks and it was good to go. So quality service and software, Apple, you're known for that. That's been a very nice experience. Next, I want to talk about some of the features that previous Apple Watch owners have probably already experienced, but these are like the smaller details that I've enjoyed. So like walking around like throughout the city, it's really nice having your watch buzz and bring up your map and your directions instead of having to publicly pull out your phone for a quick second to see where you're going. I really love that feature for the Apple Watch. Apple Pay, of course, the integration of apps and the support for them. The Solo Loop, I always say this, it's one of the most underrated accessories, and I would not knock it until you try it. Especially if you sit at a computer all day or you just want the watch to feel lighter on your wrist. All in all, I'm really happy with my purchase, but for sure this is much more than a fitness watch, but I appreciate a smartwatch that works well with my entire ecosystem, and that'll last me more than a year, because I know people are still using the Series 2, although you might want to upgrade. Apple has a strong history of software support, user experience, and I'm happy to see this watch in particular improve over time. So Amazon's Halo Fitness Band is coming in on Friday by surprise from the early access that I got. So subscribe if you want to see that. Anywho, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. iPhone 12 review is coming soon. And as always, guys, much love. Where am I? Ooh, I'm in Dubai. Ouch.
Oh!